Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going through the books that I want to read in 2025. The first part is going to be the books that I absolutely want to get through, and there's going to be 12 of those. And then the second part is going to be just other random books that I want to get through, hopefully this year. And I'm going to do about 12 of those as well. Okay, so the first book that I want to read in 2025 is A Tree Grows in Brooklyn by Betty Smith, and this is a classic, and it's just about a young girl's life and her coming of age story. The main character's name is Francie. So far I'm about halfway through it, and I'm really enjoying it. I really like it, so I'm reading that one. And then I have Lauren Graham's memoir. She played Lorelai in Gilmore Girls, and it's called Have I Told You This Already? And I really don't know what this memoir is about. I just picked it up because I wanted to read it. And then I have another classic by Sylvia Plath, and it's The Bell Jar. I don't really know what this one's about either, but I just know that it's one of the books that I really want to read in 2025. And then this one is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I know this one's also kind of like a collection of character stories, and I personally enjoy like collections of character stories and coming of age stories, so I'm excited to get into this one, and I'm hoping it doesn't destroy me as bad as everybody says it will. And then I have Jackpot Summer by Alyssa Friedland. I just know that this one's about a family, and I think one of them wins the jackpot, and they're kind of coming together and working through some things, so I'm excited to read this one. And then I have two Taylor Jenkins Reads books on my list for the year. I have Carrie Soto Is Back, which is about the tennis player and her comeback into the tennis world after leaving it. And then I have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I know this one is about like Evelyn Hugo and her 7 husbands, and I wanted to pick both of these up because I read Malibu Rising, and I know they're in the same like universe timeline as Malibu Rising and Daisy Jones and the Six. And then I really wanted to read another Grady Hendrix, just to see like if it was more thriller or horror, so I'm picking up the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I know he's like horror and thriller, so up in my alley, so I'm excited for that one. And then I have The Wager by David Gran. This is about like one of the shipwrecks in the Outer Banks, so I'm excited to read this just because I'm interested in it, and it is a historical fiction. And then I have another mystery thriller by Alex Michaelides, Ignore My Target Sticker, and I have The Fury. I picked this up last year hoping I would get to it, and I never did, so I'm really hoping I can get to it this year. And then this was one of my Book of the Month picks last year, another thriller, The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This will actually be my first Riley Sager book if I get to it and read it, and I'm excited to read it, so I'm really hoping I get to it, and I should. It's on my TBR plan to read it, so excited for that one. And then the last one I want to read in 2025 is First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. Also Ignore My Target Sticker again, but I've heard a lot about this. I've heard good and I've heard bad, so I just want to see how it pans out for me and how much I like it. Okay, and then these are excuse me, these are going to be 12 other random books from my shelf that I would like to get to. If I don't get to them, no big deal, but I am aiming for at least 2 books every month. So the first one I want to get to is Daydream by Hannah Grace. Again, these are in no particular order. This is the third one in the Maple Hill series. I've been waiting for Henry's story, and again, I've heard good, I've heard bad about this book, so I'm just really excited to see how much I like this book. And then one I've been wanting to read for a very long time is A Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I'm excited to get into this. I do like dark academia. The first one I read was In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I also know that this has like paranormal aspects into it, and again, I like paranormal things, so hoping to read this one. And then a recent book that I picked up from Barnes, which you'll see in my weekly vlog that I do, is Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. I've seen really good reviews about this one. I've heard people love this, so I'm hoping to get to this thriller this year. And then another one I've heard really good things about, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. So I'm really hoping to get to this. I know it has magical realism in it, which isn't my favorite thing, but from what I've heard about this, I think I'll really like it, especially because it has romance as well. And then another memoir that I'm really hoping to get to is Matthew Perry's Friends, Lovers, and the Big Ugly Thing. Oh, Big Terrible Thing. Sorry, I always get that wrong. I'm a huge Friends fan. I love Friends, but I'm really hoping to read his memoir and kind of get more insight into who he was and the things that he struggled with while filming Friends. And then this is the last book of the month book that I've picked before canceling my subscription, just because I keep pausing it and not using it because I'm not really reading as fast as I thought I was going to. So I got Dearest by Jackie Walters, and I think this one's another horror thriller book. I don't quite remember what this one is about, but I'm excited to read this and see what it is about. And then, like I mentioned in my 2024 reading wrap-up, I wanted to read Lost and Lassoed, but I never got to it last year, so I'm hoping that I can read this before Wild and Wrangled comes out, and then I can read Wild and Wrangled. And this is by Lila Sage. And then I want to read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I've seen that you're supposed to read like Part of Your World and another one before you read this one, but I think I'm just going to jump right into it, and then if I like her writing enough, I'll go back and read those ones. And then another one that I heard was really good, ignore the Target sticker again, I have to take my Target stickers off apparently, is Hidden Pictures, and this is about like a boy who has a babysitter, and the babysitter sees him like drawing these pictures, and they progressively get like more and more terrifying. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to see the pictures that he's drawing. Like, this is an example of pictures. I'm not gonna look through it just so I don't spoil myself, but I'm excited to get to this one. And this one's by Jason Rekulak, sorry, this sticker. And then I have another classic that I want to get to this year, besides The Bell Jar and A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, and that's A Room with a View by E.M. Forster. Again, this is like a romance coming of age, and I'm just excited to get into it and see what it's about. And then this was also another book that was on my list to read last year in 2024, and I never got around to it, and that's The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. So I'm excited to get into the Dreamland Billionaire series and read romance, because I have a heavy list of like thrillers and horror mystery classics for the year, so I'm excited about that. And then the last one I'm hoping to get to is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Again, this is another like dark academia. I've heard good, I've heard bad, but from what I know about myself, I think I'll like it, so I'm excited to see where I fall with this one as well. Okay, so actually instead of being 12 extra books I want to read in 2025, I have a 13th that I can interchange if I'm feeling like I want to read it, and that is Magnolia Park's Into the Dark. It's the last book in the Magnolia Parks part of the MPU series from what I understand. I'm hoping Jessica comes out with more Daisy Hates, especially the way the last one ended off, but this is at least the last installment of BJ and Magnolia's story, and I'm gonna have to mentally prepare myself for this one, but if I can do it, if I can talk myself into it and reading the end of their story, I will definitely be picking up Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, so fingers crossed that I can convince myself to get through the heartbreak and read it this year. Okay, so while I was editing the video, it's a couple of days later now, but while I was editing, I realized that I wanted to talk about my anticipated releases for the year in the video, so I have them all here on a list on my iPad, and I'm just gonna go through them. I have about 10 that I'm excited for this year. The first one being Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. This comes out on April 15th, and it's the fourth book, and I think the final book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series, and it's Cam and Dusty's romance story, which I'm really excited for. And then the second one is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This one comes out on March 18th. This is the second prequel book to the Hunger Games series, and this one is about Haymitch's games, which fall on the second quarter quill, which just means there's twice as many tributes in the games as would be normal. And then the third book that I'm excited for to be released this year is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood on February 4th. This would be the first Ali Hazelwood that I pick up, but this one piqued my interest because it's a romance between a swimmer and a diver, and I was a competitive swimmer for a very long time, so this has really piqued my interest because I want to see how she writes like the swimmer aspect and the diving aspect. And then the fourth book is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and this comes out on April 22nd, and from what I can tell, it is it's going to be a romance. It's Emily Henry, but it's between two writers that are competing to write the story of Margaret Ives, this like big socialite. So I'm excited for that one. And then the fifth book I have is Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, and that comes out on April 1st. And it just seems like the FMC and the MMC go on this date, and then because the FMC's family is in crisis, she doesn't want the guy to remember her, doesn't want him to continue dating her. And then I guess it's kind of like a second chance romance after that, which sounded interesting to me. And then the sixth book I have is While We're Young by K.L. Walther, which comes out on March 4th. She's kind of an automatic buy author for me. I've read her other three books and I really enjoyed them. But this one is about a group of friends who take a Ferris Bueller day off style senior day trip to try and mend their friendship, and what happens with that. And then the seventh book I have is My Dark Prince by Parker S. Huntington and L.L. Shen, and this it's supposed to come out February 9th. I've seen some things that it's TBD, some say February 7th, but I'm not sure, and it seems like it's a second chance romance Sleeping Beauty retelling, which I'm excited for because Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney princess story. And then eighth, I have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this comes out June 3rd. And the next one I talk about also comes out on June 3rd. But Atmosphere is a historical fiction set in the 1980s about Joan Goodwin and how she becomes an astronaut, and then the mission in the 1880s that changes her life. And then I have Bad Creek by Peyton June, which also comes out on June 3rd. And this is about three friends that return to Bad Creek where they vacation, and the year prior, Iris's sister Glory drowned in the lake there, I think. And so they're trying to uncover, what happened to Glory and who's coming after Iris next. And then the last book I have is Spiral by Bal Cabra. This is the second book in the Off the Ice series. I have Collide that I want to read, and this is about Elias and Sage, and they basically fake date so that Sage can get her popularity up to get into this ballet theater, and that so Elias can kind of escape the spotlight that he's under also. And then those were the books that I wanted to read in 2025, as well as my anticipated releases, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.